When it comes to survival, there is the rule of threes. Now, first up, 3 minutes without air, you can't survive. Pretty obvious. Out here, it's fine, we've got plenty of oxygen. Second is 3 hours without shelter. Now that might seem a bit weird, but if you spend 3 hours in the direct heat, 3 hours in the rain, 3 hours in the wind, you're not gonna last very long and your morale's gonna get down pretty quick. So you wanna get shelter made within the first 3 hours. Next is 3 days without water. Now that's quite long, and if you go longer than a day, you're gonna get pretty dehydrated and end up not being able to do anything. So you wanna find water pretty quick. Now, when you find water, you got to make sure it's clean or you got to boil it. The last rule is 3 weeks. Yep, 3 weeks without food. That's quite a long time. But again, if you last the whole 3 weeks, you're pretty much going to fade away to nothing. Within the first couple of days, you want to try to find food, but you want to prioritize the first 3 things: air, shelter, and water, because your body can run off its own fat stores for quite a while before you need to start replenishing it. Last week, I begun my Broke Inlet survival adventure. I stuck to the rule of threes and prioritized building a shelter. I then found some water, which once boiled will be okay to drink. After a couple hours, I even managed to catch a feed. All right, so I've just caught a King George whiting. I don't know if it's just me, but I love getting back to places like this and kind of getting back to my caveman roots and just living off the land, building shelter, catching fish, making fire, going back to the beginning and being that caveman that I love to be. Next vital step, make my way back to camp and start a fire. You definitely don't want to get lost in here because you'd have to punch through that. That does not look like fun. So, little tip I have when I'm going through something that's quite like a maze is when you go a bit, always look back at where you're coming from, because you never know when you're going to get turned around and have to go back. And if you familiarize yourself with where you've come from, it's a lot easier. Most importantly with making a fire and starting a fire is having your fuel ready to go. You want to have your small tinder, your medium sticks and your big sticks ready to go, because you don't want to have a flame going and then not have anything to put on it. Most of the wood's probably going to be a little bit wet, but what's not wet is inside the wood. So what you want to do, grab your wood and voila, dry wood. What I'm building now is a sort of a log cabin. Creates a lot of fuel, which is the wood, and a lot of oxygen. 3 main things you need in a fire. You need fuel, wood, oxygen, and a spark. What I've got to start this is a farrow rod. These things are amazing in any situation. All it is, got you there. All right, so I've got the fire going, blaring away. I want to let this get down to coals before I start cooking the fish and boiling some water. But I mean, how good is this? I think I might stay here for a little bit longer. All right, so what we're doing here is we are boiling water in a plastic bottle. It's the water that we collected earlier at the creek, but I've placed that near the fire. And as you can see, it's bubbling up, which means it is boiling and it's killing all those parasites that was in that water. So I'm going to take this off, let it cool down, and I've got about a litre of water to drink. So I've got fire going, boiled up some water, got the shelter, I got my fish ready to be thrown on the fire once the coals are ready to go. But have a look at this place. Amazing. I don't know how long I could actually stay here for living off the land, but I definitely think I'll do okay. Just love this kind of lifestyle. Caveman, the caveman inside me always comes out. Oh. so I've got the fire down to a nice coal burn, which means it's going to cook the fish all the way through. Obviously, I don't have anything to cook the fish on, so I'm going to actually lay the whole fish straight on the coals, get a nice charcoal burn going, and then I've got myself a nice dinner. Well, I'm going to dig into this, jump in, get warm, hopefully survive the night, and I'll see you on the next adventure.